Hello everybody, my name is Ren, and this is how to make a character in 13th Age 2nd edition, the playlist. A comprehensive long version video would go for over an hour, and while I absolutely plan to make that, it's easier for me to make it step by step. It's also less intimidating for some folks who are only seeking guidance on one step to have that step be its own video instead of their only option being a monster-sized vid that will always be a pain to scrub through even when the creator uses chapters. This introductory video is exactly that, an introduction. I'll talk a little about what the genre and mechanics are trying to achieve to help you with setting your expectations for the system. This is because I know there are a lot of tables out there that, unintentionally or not, play non-D&D games and end up trying to make them compatible with 5e. Then get annoyed that they're working so hard to have a less fun experience because they're not really playing the new system or 5e. After that, we'll dive into step 1, which I've kept here instead of its own video because it's actually more expectation setting. Only, instead of it being me reminding you to use the system for what it is instead of trying to make it climb a tree, it's me encouraging you and your friends to talk about what would make playing this game fun for all of you. So here we go. If you're here, then you probably already know that 13th Age 2e is a fantasy tabletop role-playing game. The problem with that statement is that so are all of these. D&D, Pathfinder, and Quest all fall under high fantasy, but vary in tone. Kind of in the same way that Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, and The Princess Bride are all happening in high fantasy settings, but they're definitely doing different things in almost every other regard. Shadowdark, meanwhile, is dark fantasy, which can have as much world building as a high fantasy setting, but it's drenched in horror overtones. Think Bloodborne or Elden Ring. Fantasy covers a lot, and normally I would hand-wave it, however 13th Age 2e really stands out for how it uses its mechanics to emphasize its themes. And its themes are drawn from epic poetry. We're talking Beowulf, we're talking the Odyssey, we're talking the Ramayana and the alliterative Morte Arthur. Aesthetically, it's gonna hit as pretty Lord of the Ringsy. It's kind of a full circle moment because much as contemporary fantasy has been shaped by Tolkien, the man himself was a bit of an epic poetry nerd. When it comes to classes, races, monsters, and spell names, anyone who has played D&D is going to feel like they are in very familiar territory. That's because the designers Jonathan Tweet and Rob Hainsou have each had a turn working as lead designers for Dungeons & Dragons. Tweet on 3rd edition and Hainsou on 4th. However, mechanically, the game is designed to make you feel like an epic hero, with a focus on building a cool narrative over a realistic one where you have to account for details like inventory weight management and jump distance calculations. This is a system for making bombastic, larger-than-life characters who, even at their most low-key, can change the society they live in. You aren't playing Zero to Hero, you're playing Hero to Legend. So now that you know the vibe of the game, let's get started. Step 1. Talk to your table. Ideally, you want to have a session 0. Get everyone together, make your characters as a group. Talk a little about what kinds of adventures you'd be excited to go on, and what sort of story arc you'd like to see your character go through. Then also have a talk about what stuff you definitely don't want to see in-game, and what method of pumping the brakes would work best for your table if someone skirted too close to a topic or a theme that made someone else feel uncomfortable or unsafe. This is best practice for basically any TTRPG. Indulging your imagination and having fun role-playing is a lot easier to do when everyone is working together to make the game a safe and welcoming experience. 13th Age is a game that encourages a lot of player agency at the table. You are encouraged to change the names and flavor text of spells and powers to fit your character's style. Your one unique thing and your backgrounds, which we will go over later in this series, help dictate what is true about the setting. Using icon relationships can temporarily give you GM privileges, as you determine how their influence manifests to bend a situation in your favor. In short, it is designed for players to participate in world building instead of offloading all of the work onto the GM. This makes it especially important to have a session 0, to make sure you're creating a game you will all have fun playing. On top of making sure everyone knows what the rules are for player safety at the table, session 0s are also just really helpful for deciding what character you want to make. Before anyone sets pencil to character sheet, they should know the answers to the following. Which icon or two does the GM want to base the central conflict around? What theme of quest will you start on? For example, is this a game about you being sent to an icon's court as diplomatic envoys? Or out into the wilds to hunt monsters? What level are you starting at? And what source materials are you using, since 13th Age 2e is backwards compatible with 1e content? Now, technically, in this busy modern world that can make it very difficult for everyone to get together long enough to play, never mind take the extra time required to talk about how everyone would like play to look, a GM can just send the answers to those questions as part of an invite to play together. Something like, hey, I've got a game idea where a party working for the Dwarf King chases down cultists that have been raiding the underworld looking for artifacts to their god. It'd be a full campaign starting at level 1, just using stuff from 2e to keep it simple since we have a new player. You in? And that's plenty to get you started with. You need to make a character that either has a connection to the Dwarf King icon or a conceivable reason to want to join in taking down a cult. And you're building them from level 1 using just the resources available in the 2e Hero's Handbook. Sitting down and learning all of this at a session 0 alongside everyone else, instead of via text, allows room for questioning and conversating that can lead to discoveries like this. Our GM, Barry, doesn't know if he wants the cult connected to another icon, but he does know that if they are, he doesn't want it to be the Lich King, because he's sick of the undead after watching a week's worth of zombie movies with his brother. Our friend, Twig, really likes dragons, and would like to be in service to the Great Gold Worm. Barry says this is fine because a second icon sending aid to fight the cult makes them seem like a more serious threat. And since Gold often fights against demonic incursions, this gives a possible avenue for the cult to be tied to the Diabolist, although he isn't committing to that yet. And our new player, Birdie, is really excited to have spotted the words Animal Companion in the Ranger rules while skimming the classes on offer. She is now adamant she'd like to play a Ranger. I know I just threw a bunch of icon names into that example. You might have read the quick intros for them at the start of the Hero's Handbook, but if you haven't, don't worry about it. We'll get to them. For now, just know icons are ultra-powerful non-player characters who exist mostly off-screen, but their machinations and conflicts set the scene for our adventures to take place. They often use adventurers and minions to act as proxies in their power struggles to keep from breaking the world they're trying to rule. From here out, the easiest way for me to show you guys how to make a character is to make a character. So, as we go along, I'm going to use these example campaign notes as a guide as I make a character named Topaz. Each step from here will have an explanation of what choice you're being faced with, followed by information to help you make that choice. A process which may involve some short asides to explain why something is the way it is, or the mechanics the choice will impact. As we go, I'll fill out the corresponding parts of my sheet with the choices I made for Topaz, so you can see what the end result of all those decisions and considerations can look like on paper. I hope you enjoyed this little introduction. Next video, we'll dive right into class selection. Until then, keep practicing hope, and don't be afraid to get punk about it.